morning to my family. Welcome to Brunch, a Taste of Tobago. I am your host, JW Moore, also known as J Soul, and I will be spending the next 2 hours with you. I hope that's okay. Thank you for inviting me into your space. Thank you for inviting Brunch, a Taste of Tobago, into your lives. And we're hoping that we are making your day today, just in case no one has told you, you are special and you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And if some of you have awoken today with just a bit of heaviness, just a bit of despair or misery, we are hoping that we can put just a bit of light, add just a bit of spice, just a bit of happiness to your day. That's what we aim to do here at Tobago Updates Television. I am just a part of a small team that makes it happen right here. And of course, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, Brunch is that mid-morning show that brings you anything and everything that is Tobago. Let me just say good morning to our sister Isle of Trinidad. Good morning to the Caribbean region. Good morning to the world. And of course, our special viewers in New York. Good morning to you. And of course, Canada. Thank you so much for being a part of Brunch, a Taste of Tobago. Our first segment is our Good Stuff segment. And with our Good Stuff segment, we seek to empower, highlight, educate, and of course, inform you on what is happening with our sons and daughters of the soil. Those men and women who are pioneers, who are trailblazers, and who are impacting humanity positively. So first, I take you to our first story. Our first story comes from the Newsday. Beyond the red dress, white curls becoming Mrs. Claus. 47-year-old Gayatri Bisundal Mahadio has spent over 2 decades enchanting children as Mrs. Claus. Bisundal's commitment to portraying Mrs. Claus goes beyond the red suit and white curls. The journey began unexpectedly in 2001 when she and her pregnant sister stumbled upon a Mrs. Claus costume on a shopping trip. The initial idea of the photo shoot laid the foundation for what would become a transformative role in her life. And these are the stories that we love highlighting. We love highlighting those feel-good moments. We love highlighting those people who are dedicated to bringing smiles to our faces. I next take you to the Trinidad Guardian. Versatile Dr. Raj entertains with groovy soca Bollywood releases. Born Giriraj Ramnaran, the 60-year-old sexologist and sex health counselor has helped many people in TNT to understand sex, health, and the intricacies of sexual intercourse to enhance the intimate parts of their lives. Oh, yes. However, Dr. Raj, the entrepreneur and lover of fedoras, is venturing into a formidable realm of soca with the release of his new groovy soca tune, Bubble Ya Bacchanal, featuring chutney soca artist Chris Garcia. Reflecting on the many areas of work he has touched on, the sexologist seeks to broaden his career through the love of music that is shared with the rest of his beloved country. And we just want to say thank you so much to Mr. Ramnanan for being that beacon of positivity. We continue to really lift up and highlight our sons and daughters. Our Daily Express tells us about a pain-free holiday season. That's right, my kings and queens. They say it's the most wonderful time of the year. But many of the injuries which physiotherapist Dr. Winnerly Pear and her colleagues see in the early months of every new year are associated with the Christmas season. People tend to overdo it while preparing to host family and friends, and this can lead to injuries. So it's no wonder that Pear often sees an influx of patients during the months of January and February each year. So we love keeping you abreast of what's going on. It's a wonderful day. It's a wonderful Tuesday. And we are so proud and privileged to be a part of your morning experience. And just a bit about what's going on today. We have, of course, our Life Diaries segment. Opukawari, historian, revolutionary, and also calypsonian and entertainer, joins us for this segment. We're going to delve in and just find out just a bit more about who is the man Opukawari. Also, our Agro Corner is something that you should not miss. Anushka Ramsden, Game Warden 2 Forestry Division, joins us with her colleague Michelle Beckles, Forestry Officer in the Forestry Division. And we're going to be discussing the close of the hunting season for iguanas. And this is something that has been a buzz in the space for a very long time. So I know that you guys don't want to miss that conversation. Of course, our Culture Corner cannot be left out. Megan Sylvester joins us, and we would have started a wonderful conversation with Megan last week, and she's back to really shed some light on some of the issues that we have as a feminist politics in Calypso. So this is something you definitely don't want to miss. Also, for our grassroots segment, Jude Rogers, Fire Prevention Officer of the TTFS, joins us for a discussion in a rise in the year and fires. I know you don't want to miss this. So here's what I need for you to do for me, my kings and queens. We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with more Brunch, a taste of Tobago. Get yourself ready because these discussions and conversations are wonderful and you don't want to miss it. So come on back to Brunch. I promise I would be here, but I need you to promise me that you'll be back with me. So once again, thank you so much. And we'll be right back with Brunch, a taste of Tobago. See you guys soon.
Inner Health, number 13B, Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago, with over 25 years experience, offering services in and not limited to microscopic blood analysis, reflexology, and the sale of a wide range of organic herbal products used to supplement thyroid, lymphatic, heart, kidney, and brain health, and the male and female reproductive systems. Come and chat with us. Remember, your health is your wealth.
At JK Tech, we bring technology to your doorstep. From cutting-edge laptops to reliable printers, we've got it all. Nationwide delivery and a new website for easy online ordering. JK Tech is your one-stop shop for your electronics and computer needs. Carrying top brands such as Acer, Samsung, HP, and much more. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at JKTechTT or visit jktechtt.com. Quality tech is just a click away. JK Tech. Evaluate your shopping experience, your tech, your way. Call or WhatsApp 383-2651. Shop smart, shop JK Tech.
This Christmas we celebrating, cause B-Mobile they coming with rating. So brace yourself for plenty prices, cause this season will be the nice. It's the most deals and the most vibes and the most cars and the most price. The most giveaways, the most para. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile. I want a Christmas season with B-Mobile. Bring the sorrow with us to a Merry Christmas. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
Top up, buy a plan, sign up or pay your bill to enjoy the best Trinbago Christmas. B-Mobile, life is on.
Don't be fearful or ignorant about diseases. The opportunity to learn how to effectively work with or even reverse sicknesses is here. Do you know someone that is suffering from an illness? You are invited to come and learn in this in-depth, hands-on training program. Call this number and reserve your space in this God-inspired, hands-on medical missionary training program going on in Tobago. See you there.
So many wonderful people and so many types of personalities have joined me on the brunch set, and today is no different. One of the things that I absolutely love, oh, bit of a tongue twister there, actually love, is the fact that I meet from politicians to activists, revolutionaries, historians, oh my, performers, entertainers, creatives, in all aspects. And this is one of the things that I actually love about doing this show. Now, for me, I have been around the arena of performance, art, culture, history. I've been around so many wonderful and intelligent minds. And of course, my first guest is no different. He is a historian, he's a revolutionary, he's an entertainer, calypsonian, and one of the intelligent sons of Tobago. And we're so privileged and honored in having him here today. I welcome to the brunch set Mr. Opoku Wari. Good morning to you, sir.
Present, good morning, beautiful, good morning.
And it's a wonderful time to have you. We have so many things. Carnival season is approaching. I know that you are so much involved in culture here in Tobago. But let's go back just a bit to where it all began for you. Tell me where it all began for you.
Well, we don't know nothing or no one can be judged outside the time that they live in.
Right.
They lived in. Living in. And the sum total of your work is what defines you in the end, But like any other youth, I think I grew up in the 60s and stuff, which was a kind of turbulent time in terms of the world itself was in a state of change, because we were coming out of the colonial era where we were totally dominated by European slavery and colonization.
Right.
Because slavery might have ended in 1838, 34, but the colonial rule continued, where we trying to Tobago and other Caribbean islands, other third world countries, were directly ruled by European powers, whether it was Britain, France, or Holland, or whoever controlled the influence in that particular era. So that what's happening in the 60s is that the world was dominated by Europe and the rising power of America. In fact, after the Second World War, America became the dominant world power. Now, so that we in Trinidad and Tobago were living under colonial rule. Colonialism is one where you believe that something foreign is superior to you. So we had this concept that anything that coming from outside was better than what we had. Even in terms of our own selves as African people living in the diaspora or any part of the world,
right,
we started to believe that we were inferior, or we were made to believe over centuries that we were inferior to other peoples. So, for example, we reached the point that everything black was bad. The mighty composer have a song called Black Fallacy. We say everything bad, a black sheep, a black, a black cat, everything is seen as, derogatory. And we had reached the stage where we used to curse one another until we look at you're black and ugly, and that kind of thing, So the 1960s saw people from different parts of the world demanding their space on planet Earth, right? So you had the in Southeast Asia, or before that, you had like in 1947, after the Second World War, the first country that attained independence was India, through the struggles of Mahatma Gandhi and so on.
Right.
At the same time, the people in China was a poor, oppressed, suffering reign throughout China. If you saw a picture of China during the 50s. But a guy called Mao Zedong led the Chinese Revolution. He took over the Chinese Revolution, which was begun by a fellow called Sun Yat-sen in the 1920s. But in the 1940s and 50s, Mao was able to rise and unite China and forge the Chinese Revolution in 1949. So China became People's Republic in 1949, and they emerged from that. And gradually, over the years, now they have risen to be probably the most powerful nation in the world. Arguable, the most powerful nation in the world. So, so you had in that part of the world, in Southeast Asia, like the Vietnamese fighting for the independence. They had defeated the French in 1954, and they were now fighting the Americans for control of Vietnam, led by a guy called Ho Chi Minh. Now, on the other hand, you had, like in Africa, you had the African liberation struggles, like in South Africa, Namibia, Angola, Guinea-Bissau, and so on, being waged by Africans in Zimbabwe and so, which was called Rhodesia, and South Africa, not forgetting there, where you had the Europeans had dominated Africa. In 1884, they sat down in what you call the Bandung Conference, and they carved up Africa into different parts. So they said, okay, in the Berlin Conference in 1884 in Germany, France, you take that, England, you take that, Dutch, we take that, you take that, so and so, you take that. And Africa was divided and all kind of mad boundaries was established among the country. But the important thing is that the power, the real power in Africa was now Europe. So all the gold, all the minerals, whether it's silver, diamonds, whether it's uranium,
all the treasures.
All the land, the
Resources.
fertile land were controlled by Europeans. So that was happening there. While in the United States, the African Americans who got their freedom in the 1860s, the slavery ended in the 1860s in America, they were rising up because the Americans, revolutionaries, the Americans led by people like George Washington and Jefferson and them fellas, Patrick Henry and so, they ran the British out of America. And because they said they're not paying no tax to the British king, no taxation without representation, what they cry, liberty or death. That's what the Americans, the white Americans did. And they overthrew and they established the United States of America, which first was 13 colonies that expanded to now 50-something. Now, but they form a Bill of Rights. The Americans had a Bill of Rights, but in those Bill of Rights, the African American have no rights. So as a black fella in America, just as in South Africa, you couldn't sit down in the same park with a white man, you couldn't drive on the same bus with them, you couldn't go to the same schools. You was discriminated then. And then in the 1960s, there's this rise of the Black Power movement in the United States, led by people like H. Rap Brown, Stokely Carmichael. Malcolm X was one of the pioneers of the movement. Malcolm X, who had roots in Grenada, his grandparents. Stokely Carmichael was from Trinidad and Tobago, from Quarry Street in East Dry River, and he migrated as a little boy to America, and he rose to become one of the leaders of the movement in America for change in the 1960s. You had people like the Black Panther Party, which was Rap Brown and them guys, and they were a kind of radical thing. movement, whereas Martin Luther King, who emerged around that period too, he was more believing more integration. He was not radical as historically Malcolm and Brown. But they rose up and because of the power of America, the message of black power and the movement for change that black people must have their space in the world started to penetrate different parts of the world, just as the Marcus Garvey movement did in the 1930s and 40s. Because Garvey was a Jamaican who formed an organization called the UNIA that had 111 branches throughout the world. That was in the 30s, so that had a surge of consciousness. Now, we were saying in the 1960s, now was another surge of consciousness in the United States. And that found its way into Trinidad and Tobago, and so because around that time, in late 1960s, there were a number of Caribbean students going to a school called the George Williams University in Canada. And they were complaining about discrimination and so on. And they protested against the white racism at the university. And in the protests, they barricaded themselves because they said the grades was being deliberately lowered because of the skin color and so on. They barricaded themselves in the computer room, and during the riot, a lot of things were destroyed and so on, and a lot of Caribbean students were arrested, and they were threatened with jail and so on. So that incident in Canada ignited the movement in Trinidad, where you had people like Mukanda Daga, Geddes Granger, Dave Dabu, who is Kafra Kambon now, and so on, leading the NJAC movement in Trinidad, the protesting against the possible suppression of our students in Canada. But when the movement started in Trinidad in April and in February 1970, it was about the students, but then the government at that time, led by Eric Williams, the PNM government, they arrested about 12 of the demonstrations, a number of the demonstrators, and charged them under a 1844 law. If they were found guilty, because they claimed that they went into the Catholic Church and put black cloth over the white statues and so on, right? So they said they desecrated the church, so they charged them. But if they were found guilty on that charge, they could have lost an arm or an ear and get some years in jail. That was the law that was on our books, our law books, even though it was 8 years after independence.
But one of the things that I wanted to really ask you, I'm so glad that you're here. You have given us so much history since sitting with me this morning. Where are we in our black consciousness today, in your opinion? We have so many pioneers that fought for us and trailblazed and opened our awareness. But in your opinion, where are we today with black consciousness?
The thing about black consciousness and the struggle to uplift our people's minds and so on, it wouldn't happen overnight. You see, we spent more time in slavery. We spent from the 1500s to about 18 something in slavery. That's 200 and something years or more. And out of slavery, we just out of slavery 100 and something years, you know. And those years we spent in slavery was when the slave masters used the skill and the power and authority they had to turn us, to strip us of our values, the way we see things, the way we see life, the way we treat our women, the way we treat our children, the way we build a family life, the way we relate to our culture. They took away a language, give us their language. Everything we did was a carbon copy of them. We mimic them in every way. For example, today, we live in Tobago today. And we celebrating with J.D. Elder and these fellas came up with this thing about Heritage Festival. And they still have us celebrating a Heritage Festival with people wearing a massa long coat, massa top hat, and showcasing that to the world. Absolute nonsense. These things must be taken and dumped in the waste paper basket of history. Because what you are doing is inculcating into the youth of Tobago a kind of mimic mentality, because
A
what we doing
mindset.
at that time, in those days during slavery, you couldn't, the little massa had to have that one massa throw away and you put on, you know. So when you start to mimic the master, you are degrading your own self-worth as a human being. Our people are a proud people. Our people fought for centuries against domination. In Africa, there was a woman called Queen Nzinga. She fought and defeated the Portuguese 7 times, you know. So the point I was trying to make is that over the years, even though we have a surge of consciousness at one time, then the oppressors counterattack, and they will bring something then to submerge that culture. Because, for example, in 1970, we were talking about, because before 1970 was fry here, you know, press here and straighten here and thing, right? And then we had to counter that, so that women start using afro and all this kind of thing, right? But then they come back now and they counter that, and then they straight here and they weave and all that thing come back, right? Not the braids, because, you know, African people is the first people to do braids and stuff. Now, and then it reached a point now where a woman was telling me that she said, well, you know, if I open a place selling bleach. I said, what do you mean? She said, I go sell it now. Because our women, they have been conditioned to believe that the fairer you look, that is constitute your beauty. So they'll try to destroy their God-given black is beautiful skin to bring something, the whiter shade appeal or something like that. So the point is that we have to always continue to strive and try to educate our people as much as possible. Because, let me tell you something, before 1970, most people here didn't have African names, you know. But now, if you look around, a lot of people, thousands of people have African names, so that is a start. It might be, people mightn't see it as no big thing, but if you could start referring yourself as an African, like Makida, or if your name Keisha or something, gradually, that is one step, you know, one small step. And then there are other steps you will have to take, you know. For example, some of us changed our names. We dumped the slave name we had, and we went by the lawyers and we changed our name legally. You know, all these are small steps. And gradually, as different times come about, new leaders would come about, and new surges in consciousness would come. So we might have moved from here to there in the struggle during chattel slavery, because Tobago revolt more than any other Caribbean island.
Oh, yes.
Stand up and fight.
We did.
All them in Plymouth, Sandy, and all them fellas.
Yes.
And we are, and 90s, during the Butler era, we reached another point. Then when this guy came, Dagandi came in 70, we went to another point.
And, you know, speaking of other points, we have so many things that we want to speak to you about Opoku, but we're going to take a break and we're going to be right back with more Brunch, A Taste of Tobago. See you guys soon.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can't beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Light up the Christmas with the best fiber. Surf for channels, switch to Amplia. Thousands in prizes, plenty smart TVs. 1 year free service and free groceries. We suffering with Amplia. 10% off plus a chance to win over $100,000 in prizes. Call 800-4663.
Such a wonderful conversation. You know, we made the point, Opoku, that our history, our story was rewritten and broken up so many times, too many times to mention, as a matter of fact. Yeah, and you know, it left us grasping for some form of identity. Do you think that's why we our leaders, you know, in the past mimicked the slave master,
Yeah, but
mimicked
see,
the English
yeah,
tendencies?
there were problems with a lot of some more audience because of colonialism, because they believe that they so believe in the master that they adopted the culture of the oppressors. They adopted the lifestyle of the oppressors. For example, look at the president of India, Modi. Modi always wear his cultural wear. Look at Mahatma Gandhi. When Gandhi went to India for independence, Gandhi landed in India, in England with a capra and barefoot and went to talk to the British. But all leaders would have the jacket and tie, you know. You know, but it just shows that the battering that we got, because them guys who call themselves leaders, they come through that whole period of colonial battering to their minds, so they can't really represent as they should represent, you know. That is why when you look at the Caribbean, people talk about Miyamoti just talk some kind of half-conscious thing and so on. And she and the boy in Guyana, if an alliday are some of the more progressive in terms of thoughts, you know, but basically most of our leaders were neo-colonialists, you know, they are just following the value system of our oppressors, and that is one of the reasons why we're here. And then when our true leaders come up now, emerge, they fight them down and they destroy them. Because some of our greatest leaders in the world, Stokely died young, H.R. Brown, Malcolm X assassinated at 39 in the Caribbean here when Maurice Bishop was rising up.
Yes.
They got some stupid fellas who call themselves Marxists to kill him. I know that Makanda Daga, I know the kind of struggles he went through because he actually lived at his house in Labantil for a period, you know.
Right.
So a guy like Uriah Butler, who was standing up, you know, the ostracized Butler. Butler is the man who caused me to be working 8 hours a day. He fight for them things.
Yes, he
things
did.
like free secondary education. The first man who started talking about independence long before Williams. And they lock up Butler for squatting on a piece of Crown land. They put him in jail for that. I saw Butler about 3 days before he died. We went down Faizabad the same day, library. And Butler died in poverty. You know what I mean? So that when you take up, you have to make up your mind that if you take up a thing of consciousness to battle for your people's rights and things, you are not to get, you know. Or I mean, Tony McFarlane, who used to lead the struggle in Tobago in 1970, he said, "Worry, all you'll get is a kick in your pants, you know."
Yeah.
And, you know, so we have good brothers who come up, brothers who make a contribution. Because, like, for example, in Tobago in 1970, it was a wonderful movement. Thousands and thousands of people used to be on the street marching. We marched from town to Mount Irving, because at that time Mount Irving was owned by the British. They had the British flag flying higher than the national flag, and we protested against that. That time they didn't used to allow black people to play on the golf course. We protested against that. Then we went to the other demonstration by sea to Pigeon Point to protest the fact that the big hotel owners were taking over the traffic to the reef and leaving out the local boat owners. Then we marched to Pigeon Point to demand that Pigeon Point be handed back to the people here, because, you know, you had to pay to go in there. I think they're still doing that foolishness down there. I don't know how you could charge people for building on something that God created. Then we marched to Charlottesville to protest the conditions of life. I mean, if you know, like going up in, when we marched up there in 1970, the road wasn't fit for donkeys to travel on. We marched through Bethel, we marched through Patience Hill, you know, all those places. I mean, thousands of people. We marched to Paltavere, you know. And then Tobago was mobilized and ready for the thing. And then in Trinidad, when the Indians were, because the Africans in Trinidad had marched down Caroni to look for support. And then the Indians responded because Daga went down there and the Indians decided to support to march in town on the 21st of April, and Eric Williams declared a state of emergency and arrested hundreds of people, brutalized a set of people, lock up all the leaders and so on. We were in the jail, in the cell over here.
And it's like an ongoing
Well, it's an ongoing
struggle,
thing.
yeah?
Because after 1970, that's the most brutal apartheid between 1970 to about 1978. When every morning you might wake up in your house and see machine gun down in your face, police. You know, sometimes you couldn't sleep in your house, you had to run to the hills to hide, and you had to be constantly on the move. Because at that time the state had counterattacked. When we were protesting and saying power to the people, we want control of the resources of the country. We want control of the oil. We want control of the sugar. We want control of the banks and insurance companies, because at that time they used to have black people working in banks. We wanted black people to control the police, because at that time the police was led by white people, and so on. They counterattacked and unleashed the police on us. You know, and they call you gorilla, call you all kind of thing. So men had to hide, men had to defend. And a lot of people, after 1970, most of the leaders abandoned the struggle. It is only Tony McFarlane who stood up, and I must always say that he stood up like a man.
Right.
And he used to take me around to the different villages, me and a brother called Elinga, Leroy Lance, and show us, you know, educate us, give us history, because he was a graduate of the George Williams University in history, you know. So I got a lot of information from him. And he's the one who kind of grounded us into the basics of understanding struggle. And those days we used to read plenty. We used to go in the library and read every book. And then the revolutionary books, the consciousness books, like by this brother from Guyana who they killed, Walter Rodney. Grounding with my brothers, we read that. We read books from Ben Buchanan. That is an Ethiopian professor who do a lot of research on African history. We read books by Chancellor Williams, not Eric Williams, a guy from America who wrote on this to show you how the African civilizations were destroyed, because, you know, we were the first civilized people on planet Earth. You know, that built the pyramids, that built glorious cities and empires and so on, you know. And then, so we read all those books, so that helped to build our consciousness. And then when we link with NJAC in Trinidad, Macandal, Dagan, Cambon, and they helped to lift our consciousness here, those who stood around, because we had to try to rebuild a movement here during the 1970s. You know, go on the blocks, get brothers and so on, and rebuild, because the old leadership had gone. And then
But I think you understood that the struggle was so important that you were ready to take all of that backlash and all of that, you know, the stuff that came afterwards. Yeah, because you decided that, okay, somebody needs to stand up, somebody needs to fight.
Yeah, when you make a commitment, look here, I mean, boy, and you had to go through, you know what I mean? I was arrested in 1974, after 1970, with the Mohini brothers.
Yeah.
And we were beaten mercilessly by the police and dropped off in Hope at night, you know. And, you know, and actually, you know, you're in a police station and 8 men beating you one time, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
that's
know, when you
a whole
experience
lot.
that, you know, it's surreal, you know, remember them kind of things, you know. But that is what, and you have to take that, you know, because you commit yourself to that. Is, as the Americans were saying in the revolution, liberty or bones. It's either we get some freedom or we dead. You know, we have to make up your mind for that. So that, and then even as you live your life, you have to continue in any way you could to educate your people, because what our people need is real education to understand who we really are. Because them brothers who run around with guns shooting one another, they don't know that they come from a people that civilized Europe. The first university in Europe was built in Salamanca and Spain by Africans. They don't know that Africans left Africa, come down here thousands of years before Columbus and helped to develop the Inca and Aztec Empire. They don't know that. A guy called Abu Bakr left. He was the head of Ghana, the Gold Coast Empire. And he abandoned his throne, gave it up to Mansa Musa, who is revealed as the richest man in the world that ever lived. Mansa Musa, Abu Bakr, he came down here with 2,000 ships before Columbus.
Yes.
And even Columbus ship was an African guiding the ship, African navigator. So they don't know anything. So you left them empty. You go to the schools today and you see, as a children fighting in school. They must fight. They don't know anything. We're not educating the people. What are you teaching the children in school? Is African history part of the school curriculum? Our people are psychologically now disoriented. That's why man killing man just so. That's why people go, you wake up in your house and somebody come in there to rob you. Because they all over the place. And not only that, you have to educate them, but you have to provide in the society the material needs for them to survive and live as human beings. You know? You cannot have a society where the bulk of the power and the material resources going to a few people while you have many suffering.
And you know, one of the things that you said that just stood out to me is that you cannot live in a society where the bulk of the resources, the wealth, everything that you can think about for development and upliftment is going to a certain few. And you know, that brings me to my next question really quickly before we wrap. We're almost out of time. Your entry into Calypso. Let's just talk a bit about that.
Well, the thing with Calypso is that Calypso is an African art form. It came from Africa with our people, you know, where the people go from community to community spreading the message of life in song. That's what Calypso is, the messages of life in song. And it came down from Africa with our foreparents. And you know, growing up and thing, you know, in the glory days of Calypso, when you had the Sparrows, the Christos, the Bombers, the Blakies, when Calypsonians used to run their own Calypso tents, and when you hear the Calypsonians coming over here, it's a big thing. So big show in town, big show in Roxborough. You know?
Yes, I remember
And then,
those days.
but I had always loved Calypso, but then I had the opportunity to, when I went into NJAC, we started having cultural rallies. So I had rallies in Mason Hall, Goodwood, Charlotte, all over the place. Having cultural rallies, Bethel, all them places. And we used to have Calypsonian, steel pan and so on playing. And in 1975, I did the first major promotion with Stalin, Shadow, Valentino, and Tobago Rio, and I think the 7 band. We had a show at PSA, the old PSA up the thing. Then we had one down in the west and one up in the east. And the thing we did that during Lent, because in those days, it was kind of taboo to sing Calypso during Lent. So that, and from that, promoting Calypso and getting into it and associating with Makanda Daga, who was the greatest Calypso connoisseur that I ever know. You know, just get an opportunity to interact, you know, get to know Stalin and them, you know. And Stalin told me go by every Calypsonian and talk with every Calypsonian. So I used to go all around Trinidad looking for Calypsonian to talk with, go home by Kitchener, go home by Sparrow, go home by Burma, you know. So you get into them because the Calypsonian really, a true Calypsonian really a special kind of person.
And I love the fact that you were able to really get into the art form. We thank you so much for being a part and continue to educate. Don't ever stop. Continue entertaining as well and bringing our story to life, bringing our story to the people. So we just want to thank you so much, Upukawari, for being a part of Brunch today.
What I can say is one big love.
Yes, all love, much love. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with more Brunch, A Taste of Tobago. But before we do that, our trivia question for today: other than the famous Buku Reef, name any other reef in Tobago. Our answer at the end of the show. We're going to see you guys soon. Come back. Let's have some brunch.
Wait, I do even have suit and thing for this wedding. Why getting them thing?
Well, the port my right over there.
Alright, thanks.
The Port Mall, where the varieties are large from your favorite stores, from restaurants to salons and from clothing stores to jewelry stores, located at Sanctus Hill, Scarborough, Tobago. Telephone number is 868-334-6589.
Wow. I didn't expect to see you here. Look good.
Thanks. It's all because of you and Port Mall. But here now, I'm going to our wedding. You want to join me?
Yeah, that's okay.
Alright.
Beat the rush and come on down to the Port Mall.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
So your car break down.
Oh, no, not again.
And you're worried paying a wrecker could mean a pocket breakdown too. But when you're insured with Tatil, no stress.
Yes!
A Tatil motor policy has lots of benefits that protect your pocket, like free roadside assistance that's free 24/7 every time, as many times as you need. Tatil, where people are people. A member of the Ansa Macal Group.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Standard, and today we're launching High. It's our newest brand that Standard is launching, and it's where luxury meets affordability. We're very proud of this brand. It's taken some time to get the right collection in place, and we're also going to continue to improve on our collection as time goes by and we listen to our customers more. We've changed our suppliers for this collection to European suppliers, so you're going to get that European finish. We've been very pleased by some of the results that we've been seeing in terms and response to it in the market, and we're so glad to bring it to Tobago and show Tobago what Standard could, grow with them as well.
It's not just about looking good or having materials that are easily cleaned or sustainable materials, because the important thing about this particular collection is that it is quality. It is meant to last, and it lives up to the Standard name about never beating on quality and price. This furniture particularly, especially our outdoor line, which ranges from fiberglass, plastic types of outdoor stools, outdoor chairs, even the outdoor furniture, it is built to last.
That's the importance with High, right? It's not only looking good, it's going to feature things that make your life easier, and it's not too damaging on the pocket. That's important for us.
This furniture fits the lifestyle of Tobago, of the Tobago customer, of the Tobago guest. It is the perfect type of furniture for you.
Brunch, a taste of Tobago. And you guys, I'm so happy. You know I love you, and I thank you for staying with us. And of course, a staple of our program today is, of course, our Agro Corner. And this is something that I feel you guys really need to pay attention to, because we're touching on such an important topic today. So I'm going to welcome my guests, Miss Anushka Ramsden. She's a game warden 2 of the Forestry Division, and of course Miss Michelle Beckles, the Forestry Officer of the Forestry Division. And we're going to be talking about iguana season. It closes on the 31st of December. I'm just putting that out there. And I'm going to take the time now to welcome my guests, Michelle, Anushka. Thank you so much for being a part of Brunch, a Taste of Tobago.
Thank you for having us.
And I really had some questions, because I'm looking at the Conservation Wildlife Act, and, persons are required to get rid of all iguanas in their possession. So what if we hunted like really early in the year, and we have our freezer is packed and waiting for harvest? So in the upcoming year, because harvest starts, in January for certain villages, is it that we walk us through that process? Anushka, you want to take this one?
Yes. Well, there's no grace period, unfortunately, for the iguana season.
Okay.
So, to the 1st of December, you have to get rid of whatever you have in your possession, because you could be charged. Because we could do search warrants, and we could come and search your refrigerators the same way, and you can be charged, and the fine is $100,000 if found in possession of iguana.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. This is an eye opener for me because we have a certain type of culture here.
Yes,
we have a
we do.
certain way that we do things. And it's so good that we're hearing it from the lawful side of it, what we should and should not be doing. Now, hunting is something that is an avid pastime here in
Yes,
our
it is.
country of Trinidad and
Yes.
Tobago. Do you think that persons are following these guidelines and regulations?
Well, no, because based on the sales that we have for the year in the both Roxborough and Scarborough branches, we don't have a lot of hunters actually coming and purchasing permits legally. So people,
wow.
so even though the season is open, they still have to come and purchase a permit to hunt these game species animals. And persons that I think most persons are not aware, and even if they are, they choose not to purchase a permit. So that's why we're trying to educate persons that you are required to purchase a permit when season is open.
Okay. Thank you for shedding some light on that. Michelle, let's go to you because you are so important to this conversation in your line of work. Where are we with regards to conservation of our wildlife? I know for a fact we have some of the rarest forms of flora and fauna in the world. You can't find them anywhere else. Are we overhunting in your expert opinion?
We don't have at this time data to show that. But what we are finding is persons are saying that hunters are hunting the mothers, the pregnant mothers, and the young animals. So they are not giving them time to mature. Because, we say we can't take out all the sand from the sea. But
Yes.
so we have the idea, the culture that we cannot overhunt. But if we hunt the pregnant mothers and the young ones that have not yet matured to produce young ones, then we could find ourselves, we have extinction of like the, or close to the wild hog. And we all know we had like the deer and so before now, which we don't have anymore.
Right.
So yes, we are finding animals in the country that are going into extinction. And we could say yes, in those cases they are overhunting. Whereas on another hand, we have some of the animals going into becoming pests because we are not quite sure why as yet, why they are apparently coming out of the forest and coming into the agricultural holdings. So the farmers have a lot of problems now with some of the agouti, and we always have the cockatoo and the parrots. Why is it now that some of these animals that were not pests before are now becoming pests? And what are we doing to encourage them to stay within the forest, or what is the change within the forest that is causing them to come out? So some of these things we are looking into how we encourage the animals that were not really pests to stay within the forest, to revert back to being in their natural habitats. And in terms of like overhunting, and so we have the persons who have these animals home, so you could rear them like domesticated. So instead of hunting in the forest, if you grow them home, you could produce them in a pen. You could sell those, and that will ease the burden on the forest.
That is quite an interesting take on it because I was just about to make the point. With development comes a lot of changes in not just the environment, but our ecosystem as well. And so we have, for instance, where I live in the housing development of Blenheim, we had some forestry there. And so the agoutis come down and they are in the yard and they just imagine they look at you as in, hi, what are you doing here? That's how they look they actually stand up, look at you, and then they go their merry way. Same thing with the cockatoo, because they are like a whole other vibe. When they get down into, so they eat the pawpaw trees, the mango trees, every tree is in jeopardy when the cockatoo is.
So as again, we have other initiatives?
Well, when the season is closed, we have a lot of farmers, as you said, mentioned, having problems with the agouti and the coquelicot.
Right.
So what we do, we ask you all to come into the office and make a formal complaint. Then we do a site visit and then we advise you otherwise and give you advice of what to do to help curb the problem. But you have to come into the office and you have to make an official complaint, so we'll have it on file.
Okay, and how do we reach you? Just for the viewers, because I know persons are looking on and might be wondering, okay, how do we contact the
office,
division?
639-2273.
All right, so guys, it's 639-2273. Please use the number. Please lodge your complaints. I know so many of you have this issue with, especially the coquelicot and the agouti, because they come in, they swoop in, and it's like you are unfair.
But remember, the coquelicot is protected, so that's why you may run into problems. So that's why we're asking you, do not try to kill the coquelicot or call the coquelicot on your property, because you will run into problems with the law. Because at the end of the day, even though it is, well, quote unquote, a coquelicot pest, national pest, it is still protected by law.
Right. So
we also have, you mentioned the housing development.
Yes.
You would have had these animals living there before the houses came. So when we take away their habitat, what are we doing to ensure that they have somewhere to be? So we encourage persons to plant trees, plant fruit trees, plant a forest. If you have empty spaces of land, you could say, okay, I am going to keep this land under forest for a certain period of time, and plant trees there that food trees that the animals, the wildlife could feed there. Because as I said, we're not quite sure why these are now common pests, but if they have food in the forested areas, then the level of damage that is done in the agricultural lands could diminish because they have food somewhere else. But a lot of times we cut down and we develop and we don't think about the animals, because as much as we need to live, we may say the animals are not really beneficial to us in that way. They are beneficial to us in a lot of ways that we may not think about.
That is something that I love, the fact that you're kind of giving me pros. Your pros are so much more than the cons right now, because you're saying that there is a way that we can navigate around the fact that these wildlife are becoming pests.
Yes.
And so giving that option of planting fruit trees, having that form of nourishment, if I could use that word. Because like you said, and this is the best part of what you said, they inhabited that area before, and I'm talking centuries, decades, before any type of development began there. And so it's still their habitat. So it makes sense why that agouti looked at me. Because I kid you not, that agouti saw me coming and stood up. It was a mom, it was a female, stood up, watched me, and then she went a merry way, went down to, I think it was the mango trees or something she went down to. And this is something that I'm so glad you guys are here, because the discussion is so important. Conservation is like a huge chunk of the pie, because we have so many wildlife species that are very rare to the rest of the world. That alone should spark some kind of assertiveness in keeping our wildlife safe.
Yes. Also, we have the fact that because we are a small island and we have such a density of species, the tourists choose here because they could get up in the morning and see quite a vast number of birds and the wildlife, as opposed to being in a bigger island, a bigger nation, where they will have to travel for hours to get to see these same animals. So having the forest and having the wildlife is encouraging tourists to the island, because there are those persons who come in for the nature and for the fact that they could just drive up the road and see all these amount of birds, see the iguana, see the agouti. They come for that. So we have to balance what do we want and how do we keep what the tourists want that brings the dollars to the island. So how do we say conserve while we using? So we have the seasons that persons are disregarding because you can't kill all.
Right.
So we kill without thinking about the consequences. But then we have persons who come into the island to bring revenue to the island who wants to see the same things that we are killing. How do we find a balance?
Yes, balance. Balance is, it's tricky. It's ticklish. It's the type of conversation that you need to really sit and weigh. You really need to sit and, okay, what is it that we really want?
Yes.
Because the rest of the world is looking at us as a destination. It's not just coming to our island, it's a destination. And so many of our visitors are very, very impressed with what we have to offer in our wildlife, in our, just the setting, just the mood, just the ambience. This is something that they look forward to. And you see so many tourists now with the backpack and they're hiking and they're doing the most.
Has become a big thing now.
Yeah. They are hiking and, you know, they want to walk up this incline, they want to go like this, you know, and like you said, the balance. How do we balance? What is the conversation like? You know, one of the questions that I always ask, because it's always buzzing in my mind, you guys are here and you are actually experiencing certain things in your field. So you can come and sit with me and speak so intelligently about it because it's an experience that you have.
Right.
But the persons who, let's say, make the rules, the persons who are the influencers and the policy makers and the persons who usually have that power or have something to say, are they having the right conversation with the actual people that are you? What's the conversation like? Are we talking about conservation? Are we speaking about our wildlife? Are we speaking about preserving what we have? Is there even a conversation happening with you guys as the actual persons that do this type of work?
Right. Well, we have a lot of conversations happening because we have a lot, especially in the Far East side, we have a lot of persons lobbying so that we have areas carded for certain things. So we say, okay, this is a protected area for this specific reason. So we have the upon the Far East, the ridge to reef effect. So they will say, okay, if we look at this area and the effect it has on this reef, so we protect it. So we have Man on the Biosphere that came on stream because of the Far East personnel working on that. The same way we would have like the Buku Reef, the protection, that took a while before we had protection, the Marine Park. Marine Park. It took a while. So we are having conversation and persons out there are lobbying to protect the natural environment in terms of what we are allowed to do, or in terms of like, okay, if you are going to do this, you should have a conversation with this person. But sometimes it doesn't seem like the developers are really meeting us, because there are times when while we are out there, we see developments happening and we're like, we don't know, because in order to cut certain trees and a certain percentage of land space, you need to come to us and environment. And when you ask a question, nobody came to any one of the organizations. So yes, on one hand there is the conversation, but on another hand, development is happening without the conversation. So again, there are gaps that still needs to be discussed and fixed
and visited. Because like you said, it's not just about having the conversation, it's about implementation. Development is happening, but the relevant persons or the relevant team players are not even notified. And this is the problem that we face, because this is what causes that whole breakdown.
Yeah, some persons feel that this is my land, I could just go and do. As I said before, if you're going to do some sort of construction, we're going to do development, then if you're going to take away the environment, certain parts of the natural environment, there are clauses in the law that tells you how to go about doing it, and permissions that you need and what you need to put back in place to mitigate the losses that we're going to fall out, that we're going to have, and all of that. Right. And some persons, yes, follow the law, and some choose to go ahead, and it's only while you're out there you realize, wait, when this happened, sometimes it is as really as you went out today, and next week you go and you see something like, when this happened, because it wasn't there last week. And nobody asks a question, it just happens. And that's why we always go out there monitoring and patrolling to ensure that as much as possible, persons could be aware that the environment, as much as we need development, we have to have the environment because we are living on an island. And if it's imbalanced, we could run into a problem because of the size of the island that we are living on.
Definitely. And your sister institutions, sister organizations in Trinidad, the ministry, these arms of agricultural organizations, do you guys work in tandem with these organizations? Is there a relationship between our division of food security, natural resources?
Well, we have a working relationship with workers from the forestry division in Trinidad. So like whenever they get new information regards for laws and policies and stuff, they will forward that information to us and vice versa. So we have a fairly good working relationship with the forestry personnel.
What is a challenge that you face as a game warden?
We are short staffed. So basically we have 6 officers for the entire island of Tobago. And we can't be in one place and all the places at the same time. So we might be in Charlottesville and then we get a report that there's hunting happening in Cove. We can't drive from Charlottesville to Cove in such a short space of time. By the time we reach there, they're gone. So one of the major problems we have is being short staffed. And then persons not obeying the rules and the regulations, because the harvest is such a big thing in Tobago. And because it's a cultural thing, people will hunt regardless of whether season is closed, season is open, they will hunt regardless. And that is one of the major issues we're having because of the harvest season. So when season is closed from April the 1st officially, you have the month of March. You can cook and you could purchase wild meat, but you cannot hunt for that month. So officially from the 1st of April, during whatever harvest period we have in that time, persons should not be cooking wild meat, and that don't stop. We're always having persons cooking wild meat throughout the year. So that's one of the major issues we have as a challenge as a game warden.
Yeah, and that is going to be challenging because, like I said, it's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing,
and sometimes we use that, or we make that tradition so strong in our minds that it's like it's the law, and you have to have this, you have to have that. Harvest is coming up, but paying attention to the rules is something that I see us having challenges.
Yes, we do have challenges, lots of challenges
in doing. And I'm talking basic, nothing too rigid or out of reach. Basic rules and regulations, I see that we seem to have a problem following them, and that is kind of a setback.
Some persons actually get a rush just to you could go and do it and get away from the wardens. So they like to share the stories that they were there and they heard the game wardens coming and they get away and they couldn't catch them, and that big thing.
So it's kind of like an adventure type of story. And
so it's not just about hunting now, it's just about let's see how we could hunt and get away from the law while doing it.
One of the things that I wondered about, now I know iguana season closes on the 31st of December, and this is according to the Conservation of Wildlife Act. Is there any stipulations for other species?
Yes, you can hunt the other species until February. So the only one that you can't hunt is the iguana.
Okay.
So the agouti, the tattoo, the lap deer, but lap and deer is for Trinidad only. You can hunt that until the last day in February. So that's when season officially closes.
Right. What is an average? because I'm thinking, I'm not seeing 9 to 5 in my mind for some reason. What is an average workday like? Anushka, this is for you especially as a game
we
warden.
do structured hours. So some days we might do early morning, some days we may do late evening. So it depends. It depends on what the problem is. We just structure our schedule to suit, especially when season opens for turtle as well. When turtle is nesting, we go out and do patrols in the night because that's another problem we're having as well. We'll have a lot of poachers poaching the turtles when they come to nest. The leatherback turtle, especially the hawksbill, the green, when they come to nest on the island, they poach the turtles. They kill them for their meat. So our hours are all over the place basically. We are not an 8 to 4 job.
Yeah, and it's I this is something that really gets me, because to me I feel like not just with wildlife and forestry, but I'm speaking on agriculture as a whole entity. I feel like the discussion needs to move just a bit more rapidly with regards to the conversation, as Michelle said, the implementation that happens and you guys don't know anything about it some of the times. And then you have that balance that just does not seem to exist sometimes. And I'm wondering if there is still that stigma when it comes to agriculture. There used to be a stigma when you're talking about agriculture in days of old. There was a stigma attached to it. And your secretary was here, and she was saying that changing the face of agriculture is so important because the discussion needs to change, the narrative needs to change, implementation needs to be a bit more rapid, developing your agricultural sector needs to happen.
Right.
And for that, like Michelle said, you need the balance. And in most cases, we don't have the balance. Moving
Because
forward,
we still when you as a youth, as a child, what do you want to be? You still want to be something out there.
Yeah.
You don't have much person saying, I want to be a farmer. I want to rear animals. I want to so we had this culture of the agriculture of farming was probably for those who didn't make it.
Right.
But I think it will change because a lot of youth now are getting into the agricultural business and the success stories that we are having. So what we could do is to encourage more visibility of the success stories with the youths, because they're going to school and they're learning and they're coming back and they're being very successful at farming. So it's like farming is not now for the old man or the person who doesn't have anything much to do, but it's really, really exciting and productive for the youths. You don't have to put on a suit and tie to be somebody. You could plant the land and sell and be just as productive and successful.
Yes. And there's so many avenues to agriculture now. Marketing is such a big part. You see so many products, so many goods and services that the practice of agriculture is producing. So it's not even just being a farmer, planting the land. You have so many forms of agricultural, expression, and you have so many things are going on today. It's just like a whole other vibe to me when it comes to agriculture. One of your representatives was here. She was saying, the aim is to make agriculture sexy. Well, I laughed that because the word sexy just spoke to so many things. And it's making agriculture attractive.
Yes.
It has to be attractive.
In school, could say, I want to be that. Yes. Because simple the mango. I heard that persons go to Trinidad and bring mango to Tobago. Why are we doing that?
Yeah.
When we have soap mango all over the nation, rotten, you're feeding them to the pigs and they're sweeping them down the canal. Why are we not making more effort to utilize those products? Natural, you don't have to spend anything for it in most cases. And so agro-processing and stuff, we have a lot of availability on the market. Why are we bringing mango from Trinidad?
Exactly.
You know, a person could simply say, okay, I'll take a pickup, I'll this, and I'll go around and I get mango and store them and freeze them and have them to sell back to the persons and not have to bring from Trinidad. On the other hand, persons have the market that they do carry them to Trinidad. So it's a back and forth. So
Yeah.
the market exists, but it's to tap into it and to the willingness to say, I want to do that product. So as you said, if they still make it sexy, that's
Make it more attractive. Because I always tell the story, we're going to wrap in a few, where we had career day at my son's school. And there was one little boy I would never forget for as long as I live that came as a farmer. He had his boots, he had his farmer's hat, he had a basket with his produce. And I just could not take my eyes off of this little boy because he was such a difference to the whole dynamic of the class. Because everybody else was in, their doctor's robe or their police uniform, and one little boy came, and he was a farmer. And, that spoke to me, that spoke volumes, because he wasn't, tied in to what the norm would have been when everybody wants to be.
He was like a breath of fresh air.
He was like a breath of fresh air. And everybody wants to be a doctor, a lawyer. Everybody was along those lines. And my one little boy, I don't even know what school he passed for or anything, but I remember him because he came in and he was definitely a farmer. And like I said, the narrative must keep developing. It must keep changing when it comes to agriculture. Now, you said iguana season closes. Persons are required to get rid of all iguanas in their possession. I am just reiterating the fact because I know you guys are listening. And I'm just putting it out there. Some of you just joined us, I know. But that's okay. I told you I would be here. I promised you I would stay. So I'm just giving you some of the information. Persons who offer for sale, purchase, or hunt iguanas after the 31st of December are liable to a fine of $100,000. Whoa. I don't know about you, but that is a lot of money. So before we wrap really quickly, guys, Michelle, I'll start with you. What would you say to our viewers today who are watching?
Our little island of Tobago is very beautiful and thousands of people come every year to enjoy it. Let us do our part to keep it that way so that we can play our part in society to contribute to the revenue of the island, contribute to the beauty of the island, and we ourselves could enjoy the island.
You said it so well. I don't even have anything else to say after that, and I usually do, but today I don't. Anushka, what would you like to say to our viewers?
Let's conserve with tomorrow in mind, basically. Let's hunt with tomorrow in mind. So when we go out there and we hunt, now that season is open, don't hunt everything you see. Leave back for tomorrow because you want your children, you want your grandchildren to know what a iguana looks like. We want them to know what a agouti looks like. So conservation, always keep that in mind and hunt with tomorrow in mind.
Definitely. And we just want to thank you so much for being a part of Brunch today. Also to the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development. A blessed morning to you. Good morning to your wonderful secretary, and good morning to all the agricultural organizations. Tatko, yes, I see you. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for being a part of our agricultural sector. We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with more Brunch. But before we do that, our trivia question for today. Other than the famous Buckle Reef, name any other reef in Tobago. Our answer at the end of the show. We'll be right back with more Brunch, the Taste of Tobago.
so your car break down.
Oh, no, not again.
And you're worried paying a wrecker could mean a pocket breakdown too. But when you're insured with Tatil, no stress.
Yes!
A Tatil motor policy has lots of benefits that protect your pocket, like free roadside assistance. That's free 24/7 every time, as many times as you need. Tatil, where people are people. A member of the Ansa Macal Group.
This Christmas we celebrating, cause B-Mobile they coming with rating. So brace yourself for plenty prizes, cause this season will be your nice. It's the most deals and the most vibes and the most cars and the most price. The most giveaways, the most para. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile. I want a Christmas season with B-Mobile. Bring the sorrel every toast to a Merry Christmas. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
Top up, buy a plan, sign up or pay your bills. Enjoy the best Tobago Christmas. Be mobile. Life is on.
This Christmas, speed is on us. Get up to 300 megabits per second of speed with our new Link Up Plus plan. Enjoy more speed, more channels, and free streaming for less. Plus, introducing Link Up More with up to 1 gig download speed. Download, stream, video calls, share memes, and more. Get free installation when you sign up in-store or online today at discoverflow.co.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
And we are back with Brunch, a taste of Tobago, and I'm so happy that I get the chance to speak with beautiful, intelligent women of agriculture. This is something that really sparks my interest because we need to see ourselves, we need to understand the work, the dedication, the abilities of our men and women. We need to understand that our citizens play such an important role in our development, and agriculture is no different. And one of the things that I really wanted to touch on, the departments, what they're doing, what is a buzz, what's new, what's exciting. These are the things that I know you guys want to hear about from our guests as they sit with me. And so I re-welcome to our set Anushka, Michelle, welcome back. And we were having such a wonderful discussion. And my next question is, what's happening? What's new? What's next for your division, for your department?
Right.
Yeah?
Yes.
So you just want to touch on a couple of things that are going to be going on?
Well, we are looking forward to upcoming events. We have commemorative days that happen straight off.
Friday we have one.
Friday, well, Christmas bird count.
We have on Friday.
Yes, we have. That is her baby.
Yes, it's a census we do. We tour the island where we go and we go in teams and we go and count all the birds we find on the island. Then we record the information on the Audubon site, so it's made available to persons. Anyone could go on the site, plug in the year, and they will see whatever bird we have that was found in Tobago on that day.
Right.
Yes.
So you can check trends and see, last year we had more magnificent frigate than this year. We finding more banana quit this year than 2 years ago. So just a basic, let's just check, to see, we have an idea of what birds are found on the island. If we have rare species, if we have endemic species. It's a very interesting census we do. And it's running for like 124 years.
It's so interesting because I'm excited. I feel excitement coming off of you when you talk about it. Like, as Michelle said, it's your baby.
Yes.
And so it brings me back to the lovely and the rare gems. Our birds alone are some of the most exotic. You cannot find them anywhere else in the world. Tobago, stand up and take a bow. You need to take a bow. Because this is something that, how many countries, how many islands, how many territories can boast of this? You have the most rarest form of birds and lizards. And, it's something that we really need to, I don't think we celebrate ourselves enough. That's one of the things that kind of sparks.
It's what we try to do when we do the education segments, because we realize that the young people, children, even adults, the simplest bird, what we call blue jean and big eye siri, and they don't know. They just know that's the yellow bird or that's the bird. And they don't know these birds. So in our educational segments, we try to educate the young people and the youths of these that exist, because then we cannot celebrate what we have if we don't know that we have it.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big challenge. We don't know that we have it. So when we go out every day and when we do the educational tours, and the persons, if you want to do education with us, if you want to do tours with us, you call into you write to the administrator, and then they will redirect the letter to the relevant personnel. To do tours, we do main range tours for schools and organizations. We do tours. We also do wetland tours. Those are next area that a lot of persons just don't seem to understand the importance of.
Yes.
So we do those tours also. And we partner with other organizations like WASA and other personnel to have personnel aware to the importance and what we have, because it seems that a lot of persons, some persons in Tobago don't know the existence of Main Ridge and what we could find there.
That's the thing.
So our job takes us out there to do research work, because sometimes we want to know, does this animal still exist, and in terms of how many are they going extinct, when last did you see one? So we do a lot of research work. You talk about the exotics and what we have that other persons don't have. The white-tailed saber wing is endemic to here and one place alone in Venezuela, and so we do research on that census to find out where are they, how are they, is the population becoming healthy, is it stronger? So we do research work with the birds to find out what is happening out there and what is the population looking like. Some of these things that keep us occupied during the day.
Yeah.
That we get excited about, that some persons be like a bird. But yes, we do get excited
it's exciting to say the least, because like I said before, it's about celebrating what we have. I don't think that we do that enough. Not saying that we don't, but I don't think that we do that enough. It has to be more than, okay, well, this bird is, found in Tobago. This wildlife is found in... It has to be more than that. It has to be a celebration. Because I remember driving along the boardwalk in Scarborough. There was a beautiful picture of a king of the wood.
Right.
And I pointed it out to my husband as we were driving past. And a couple mornings after, I saw a king of the wood on a tree just I'm in the kitchen and I'm seeing this bird. I was like, look, the bird.
Yes.
You know, it felt so exciting because it was just there going about its merry business. But the colors, that tail, and, you know, it stood on the branch, you know. And if I had a camera, a proper camera that could capture this bird, I would have done that. It was so surreal for me because we're driving past and we see the picture. You have pictures of birds and, you know,
and you don't exactly know what it is.
And you
persons
don't
will pay
exactly
you
know
big
what
money
it
to
is.
actually. Persons will pay you to carry them to see that bird.
Yeah.
And to tell you the name of that bird.
Definitely.
And some persons leave where they are to come here just to see that bird. Because to find it somewhere else will be hard to reach. And you know, okay, I could go to Tobago and see this bird. So they come here and they pay you to carry them to see that bird.
And I know persons are actually having sanctuaries now where you can go and actually do bird watching. I know of persons that, you know, their knowledge of birds and being able to recreate these beautiful photos and works of art, you know, has earned them, like, you know, top prizes and stuff across the world, across the globe.
Yes, right here in Tobago.
Right here.
Yes, so it's that persons are more that understanding the value of conservation, not just for oneself, but to share with the whole world. So we have visitors from all over that you would never have on an everyday basis, but they're just coming to see your birds.
Definitely.
Right. So it's persons are slowly catching on that this is something of value that we own and we could boast about.
Definitely.
So they are catching on it.
Anything else new and
Well,
exciting?
interestingly, before we go with the exciting part, we actually in fire season. Rain is falling, but fire season begins the 1st of December and runs until the 30th of June.
Right.
So in fire season, if you want to light an outdoor fire, you need to have permits. Right? They may come back to talk about fire season in a more official way.
Detailed, yes.
But you need a permit from the fire services that costs just $10. And one of the wardens will come to you wherever the fire is going to be lit to ensure that it is protected so it wouldn't spread and cause fire. And they give you your permit and you light your fire. So we are in fire season. Persons still practice lighting fires when they're hunting. And the same animals we're talking about is destruction of habitat, and some of them may even get burned.
Yes.
So we have to be aware that whereas I'm running down one animal, I may be killing or causing habitat loss for 100 others.
Yes.
And what is more important, are we going to have the meat with this one animal, get how much dollars for this one animal, or allow the island to flourish and for persons to come to our island, which will give it a bigger growth and more international recognition.
Definitely.
Which is more important.
Yeah, and it's about the balance, you know. Sometimes I feel like our priorities are so screwed up. It's not even funny. And these are the things we need to really reach out and highlight, the things that make us unique. Because if a visitor comes to your shores, they don't want to experience something that they can see back home.
Yes, they're coming for something new. And I always have that question. I think we on the island, we want to experience city life. So we want to build all our buildings and we want everything to look like the city. But persons who come into an island want to experience island living.
Yes. Authentic island living. So they want the forest, they want the beach, they want to see birds, they want to hike. Because I see so many people with their backpacks and they're hiking and they're doing the most. And this is what they leave their shows for. Like I said, it's about celebrating, it's about highlighting what we have. And I think we still have some work to do in that regard. I think we still have some work to do.
We also have the privilege of partnering with other persons. So where we may not be able to reach in terms of revenue, when we partner with other organizations, we are able to get that. And in terms of development of the island, because right now we have some projects that we're working at, like the pollinators, which is BestNet, which is an international body who are looking at stingless bees and their importance to honey. And in terms of vegetation, that will allow these bees to thrive, because we realize that the bee population is dropping for whatever reasons, right? So we are right now partnering with them to install pollinator gardens, which is actually growing wild bush, wild flowers, things that you cut down with the lawn or the brush cutter, that you have areas that you actually plant these and take care of it to encourage the bees.
Yeah, so it's designated for that purpose.
So we have that project that we're working on, and we also have coming on stream the project with BioReach. This is another organization that they look at the river areas and the places that are denuded, and they are looking at putting agroforestry products there to help conserve the land and to also provide employment downstream for persons. So, and these came out of partnership with these organizations. So those are other projects that, as we partner with, they help us and we help them in terms of revenue on one side, and in terms of research work and personnel to have these things done to develop the island.
And these entities must go hand in hand, and it takes us back to balance, which is what we've been saying for most of this conversation. The balance has to be there. So many factors need to come together, work in tandem, and be able to not just get a result, but you have to implement and implement effectively. It has to be a positive outcome and not just an outcome because you did something. The outcome must be positive. It must be something with continuity. It must be able to grow from strength to strength. And I think you're on the right path. I just feel that some of the conversations can be a bit more assertive.
It will take time. Because, as I said, we have the conversation, but to get it to the correct persons, the persons who really have the say. So I and the game one here and yourself, we could have a conversation. Well, I and the game one could have a conversation, but we need you to send it further. So getting through to you, and then the person who really does the work out there, who it really need to hear, to get to them and for them to understand the balance that is necessary. Because we have to survive, we have to live, we have to do development. But we also have to remember that the environmental segment, that balance, to how do we balance putting a road somewhere and not cutting off the wildlife, or not throwing the wildlife into persons' gardens and destroying their livelihood. How do we do the two of them? A road is necessarily to get to the next part of the island. So how do we now go about doing this road without damaging the wildlife? Relocation, ensuring that there is habitat somewhere else that they could thrive there. That balance that we need.
And you have to always have a plan B, always have alternatives in your planning. Sometimes we don't have a plan B. I know it sounds cliche, but sometimes we don't, and things go wrong and we don't know how to navigate from there. So once again, the balance, the conversation, the implementation, these things have to go hand in hand. So I'm thanking you again. I know I did before, but I just felt like there were so many parts of the conversation that still needed to be heard and told. And so I was so glad that I got the chance to really extend the conversation. So I thank you so much again, Michelle and Anushka. Thank you so much, guys. This conversation was so enlightening. I'm hoping that the viewers really got the information that they needed. And remember, guys, iguana season closes on the 31st of December. Persons are required to get rid of all their iguanas in their possession. Persons who offer for sale, purchase, or hunting after the 31st are liable to a fine of $100,000. So, don't say you weren't informed, because I made sure that you were. So that's it for brunch today. Thank you so much for being a part of this wonderful experience. Thank you for sharing it with me. And stay tuned for other episodes. Stay tuned for more of Brunch, A Taste of Tobago. Before I leave you, our trivia question for today. Let me just revisit it. Other than the famous Buku Reef, name any other reef in Tobago. Our answer, please. The Japanese gardens. There you go. I learned something today. Did not know the answer, but hey, that's what we do here on Brunch, a Taste of Tobago. So we are going to see you next time for another episode of Brunch. In the meantime, peace, love, and light from our family to yours, and success in whatever you endeavor to do. Have a blessed day. See you next time on Brunch. Bye, guys.